Hey, what's going on, folks? It's Cajun Filet Biscuit at Bojangles, and today we have some really exciting news regarding the development of my personal project in building the Bowser 4664 Challenger. It is completed, as you see before you. I finished this locomotive about 3 days ago, and I'm thrilled. I love the way that it turned out. And so sit back and relax, and let's talk about building this Challenger and the results and the weathering and everything involved that went into this project. Well, first off, I'm going to start with starting the project. I started this project about 3 to 4 months ago, back right after tax time. I took my lovely my tax baxes back from Uncle Sam and purchased this lovely new old stock Challenger kit off of eBay, of course. I then went on to find a Vanderbilt style tender kit as well, because I had a ready to roll tender made by Ather Genesis. However, the electrical connectivity was just too much to really deal with for that, so I just decided to find a Vanderbilt style tender. So, moving on, the hardest part of building this locomotive was the mechanism. I have built several steam locomotive style kits before, but if you watch the progress videos, I will explain about all of the issues that I had in terms of the mechanism, and there are many more. I could probably write about 2 to 3 full pages worth of material on all of the issues that I had with building the mechanism, and that's okay. That is the point of building these kits, is to encounter problems, think about them, and solve them. Sometimes it would take me sometimes it would take me weeks to figure out an issue, or to figure out a solution to an issue that I was having. I broke many screws. I had to order several replacement screws off of Amazon. I just had to spend a lot of time on working on this mechanism and getting it to run right. And if you noticed, I posted a video of this beautiful locomotive running 2 days ago, I believe, on my YouTube channel, so you can see that. I have not broken this locomotive. Typically, these locomotives require about anywhere between 50 to 60 hours worth of runtime before they get really smooth. As of right now, this locomotive has about 7 hours of runtime on it. I spent most of the weekend just running the locomotive. This locomotive does not really like easy track, but it does do well. So the mechanism was a difficult part. The other issue I had, and I don't really know if I talked about this too much, was the steam piping that comes off of the boiler onto the front set of drivers, and I will go ahead and point those out, which is this right here, this kind of L-shaped bracket. This caused me a lot of issues. When I first tested the locomotive without it, it ran fine, and then come to find out that the front set of trucks was riding too high to the rear, causing the rear set to derail. So it was a combination of the steam piping, and there's a brass piece on the frame, or on the gear, that lifts the boiler up, and so I had to file that down before everything could run properly. Speaking of the front section, another issue I had was this front truck here. The way that the wheels are held into the little frame It's really just not a very good design in my opinion, and I had to file out a lot of material, and I filed out too much material, causing the wheels to fall off, so I had to build a cover plate for that, so that the front truck wheels would not fall out every time the locomotive is lifted up, and of course it all works fine now. The next issue I had was the little air compressors here on the front of the locomotive. The way that those are designed to be held in, it's really not that great either. So I eventually had to just epoxy those in because they kept falling off. And that's really about it. I mean, it sounds like a lot and not a lot at the same time. Like I stated earlier, I can write up, anywhere between 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 pages of issues that I had in building this kit. And again, that's okay. That's the point of building your own model, is to fix and find your own problems. As you can obviously see, I've weathered this locomotive. I love the look of a weathered steam locomotive, and I think it turned out great. I have showed this locomotive to many people, and people are quite receptive of this. It's not a perfect copy of a Clinchfield Challenger. There are obvious issues, the main one being the smokestack, being the double smokestack, whereas the Clinchfield Challenger only has a single. And of course the Vanderbilt style tender, which was never used on the Clinchfield, Carolina and Ohio Railroad. But I think it turned out well, and especially for my first Bowser steam locomotive. This is the first Bowser kit I've ever built. I figured I might as well go after the big dog and work my way down if I wanted to build more Bowser locomotives. I've had plenty of experience building MDC and Tyco kits, so this definitely was a step above, that's for sure. It required a lot more thinking, a lot more tools, drill bits, etc., to really work this issue out, or the issues that I had. So there is the locomotive, and I will go ahead and move it, and we can get back to the tender. And there's just another shot of this beauty. I'm going to go ahead and turn the locomotive around. So here is our weathered tender. It's not really showing up all that well on camera because it is black. It's like a big void sucking in all the light for the most part. Anyways, we can talk about some of the issues that I had with the tender, and these issues were quite serious. So the first issue that I had was the drawbar of this locomotive. I actually have this wired up to where the motor lead is soldered to the brass drawbar instead of being screwed into the tender. I found that the wire being screwed directly into the tender was an issue, and so I just decided to work around it, solve my own problem, and simply solder the wire to the drawbar. The other issue I had was grounding the drawbar. The drawbar is screwed into the locomotive, and there's a small plastic fitting that has to go around the hole that the screw is screwed onto the drawbar, or onto the locomotive that runs through the drawbar. And I was finding that this was causing a short, so I had to work around that as well. It was just a combination of filler and getting that little piece in place. The next issue that I had was the tender trucks. Specifically, this front set of tender trucks. I'm not exactly quite sure what ended up being the root cause, if you will, but my tender was derailing over and over and over again. It was like it was being pulled right off the track, and like I said, I had issues with the drawbar, and that was just a matter of bending the drawbar to the correct height. So that I believe the drawbar is bent. I'll use my pointer here. Is bent up, so it's sort of like making a U shape or a diagonal line to the tender. With a little step. Anyways, back to the front truck tender issue. It was being derailed constantly, and I believe it was just a bad cast. The wheels, I tried to fix it, but the wheels were just unlevel when mounted on the tender. So I actually had another Vanderbilt style tender, so I just robbed the front truck off of it, which is fine because I don't think I'm going to build that tender, and I will just relegate it to parts. It goes with another Bowser kit that I have. But anyways, I just robbed the truck off of that tender and replaced it, and it was fine. It was a new cast, so I had to file it down and fit it and repaint it, which was a chore, but it was easily done. As of right now, the locomotive does not have any couplers on it. I have not tested the pulling power of this Bowser 4664 Challenger. I'm looking forward to do so. I found some really cool vintage freight car kits online that I plan on picking up this Thursday when I get paid. I will build those to go along with this vintage style kit. So that is really exciting. Though I have built freight car kits before, I'm not a huge fan of them. I really like locomotives because there's just a lot more going on, and it's a lot more involved and a lot more stimulating, in my opinion. I'm not really good with the small details, but those will be fun. I think they're more akin to a blue box style of kit than a Craftsman kit. Anyways, that about wraps up this build. Just one little piece I wanted to throw out there was that the way that these locomotives are designed and the way that the bushings are designed, once you have the cover over the frame, it's sort of permanently attached. It really is. If you were to remove that cover to get access to your gear on the middle driver of whatever frame, that will cause serious issues, and I don't understand. I don't get it. But this is something that I've noticed in reading people's problems that I've had with building Bowser kits, articulated kits, such as the T1 and the Challenger and the Big Boy, is that removing that cover, putting it back, will cause a fitment issue. So it's best so you can service everything just from the openings in the engine. So it's best to do that. So if you have one of these and it runs well, be careful about removing that frame, really, the frame cover. Again, first time Bowser builder here, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's just what I've noticed. I've noticed that every time I've removed that frame, I've had fitment issues, and things have had to be tweaked and changed to get the locomotive running right again. Well, folks, that about wraps it up. I'm thrilled with the way that this has turned out. I am super excited to start another kit, so keep a lookout for that. I think I know what I'm going to do. most likely going to be an Arbor Models kit. I have several stockpiled. And anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video and this series of documenting the steps in building a Bowser 4664 Challenger. It's truly a shame that people don't want to build these kits anymore, and that no one makes kits anymore. And I really wish someone would do something about that. Anyways, until next time, thank you, and I've been Skur.